So, the topic of discussion is how we uh, handle these babies with congenital heart disease. So, the purpose of talk is to make you familiar with the common congenital heart problems in children, their presentation, and at what time we like to intervene in this patient. As we know, the congenital heart disease is number one congenital malformation in the body, and the reason is this: the development of heart is the most complex embryologic event happens in the fetus. That's why we get so many number of congenital heart disease in children. The incidence of congenital heart disease has remained constant despite the advances in the antenatal scanning and radiology. The incidence fairly remained around 0.8 to 1% among roughly is 1% in live births. And many of these babies require early intervention. That means that around 50% of patient requires surgery or intervention in first year of life to survive. If we extrapolate our data in our state only, then a huge number of patients comes to us with major congenital heart malformation every year, and is a huge burden to the society that we handle so many of patients. Despite of the establishment of this super specialty in cardiology, still in year 2021, this kind of scenario is not uncommon. A grossly malnourished baby presenting late with a problem weight just 3 kg, or a grown-up congenital heart disease, 15-year, 20-year-old baby child is having severe cyanotic heart disease. This is due to number of misbeliefs that holes get closed by itself over period of time. Surgery is not possible. Surgeries are high risk, and there are social stigmas associated. There are a number of question marks about post-op survival and prognosis, overall prognosis. But the things are pretty well studied over decades, and we have good long-term results of many surgical or catheter interventions. So I like to share this knowledge with you. So discussing congenital heart disease, we divide them into acyanotic and cyanotic congenital heart disease. Cyanotic congenital heart disease are basically mostly it is predominated by left to right shunt, large left to right shunt lesion and obstructive lesion. And cyanotic heart disease, one group is tetralogy group where there is a decreased pulmonary blood flow situation, and there is another group, it's called admixture lesion or increased pulmonary blood flow. So these are the basic division of congenital heart disease. The prototype problem in with congenital heart problem is ventricular septal defect. It's most common congenital heart disease, and large heart, large pulmonary blood flow, large septal defect, malnourished child, and a large septal defect. This is how the VSD present. Number of disease which falls in this group, commonest is one ventricular septal defect. The problem with ventricular septal defect is determined by the size of the defect and location of the defect. So if the size is large, there is a large pulmonary blood flow and the pulmonary pressure will go up. There is a significant volume overload on left heart, and then comes a secondary problem. What are the secondary problems? Because of pulmonary overcirculation, they have poor weight gain, and because of poor weight gain and pulmonary overcirculation, they are prone to respiratory infection. So unless we break this cycle, this goes on. So most of the patients who are not corrected in time or presenting late have this kind of situation. And the most important complication of large left right shunt is damage to pulmonary vasculature. That is, there are gradings available. The grade 3, 4 beyond grade 3, 4 is what we call is irreversible damage. So in a shunt, large left to right shunt patient, we don't want to go patient beyond this stage. That is the message. Apart from that, malnutrition, myocardial dysfunction, these are manageable problems. The most important complication of large left to right shunt lesion is uh, pulmonary vascular disease. So how we decide decide upon, we still base our data on studies which are say 4 or 5 decades ago been conducted. Now nobody see this data, but important that how we understand what are the chances that this VSD will go close by its own depend upon location and size. If it is a large defect anywhere or a defect in inlet, subpulmonic or outlet area will never close. So the spontaneous recovery chance in this location is very low. Large defect less likely to close, small defects, small to medium defects are likely to close. Certainly the closure is uncommon after child grows beyond 5 to 6 years of age. And most important, if there is a large defect, the chances of vascular damage is more as the child grows. So certainly child less than 1 year is a age group where we prefer to close this defect. So this is the time schedule for common left to right shunt lesion. You can extrapolate the data to VSD, PDA, AP window. A large defect with severe pulmonary hypertension will certainly like to close this defect below 1 year of age and ideally between 3 to 6 months. Moderate defects and small defects are well tolerated. Most of the moderate defect patients have ventricular volume overload and growth failure. So we can wait here for the chance to see that whether this is decreasing in size or not with the growth. Certainly, it's not decreasing. We operate around 1 to 2 years of age. Small defects around school going age, and those who are having secondary complications, we operate them early whenever the problem is detected. Small defects, uncomplicated, there is no need to close the defect. So most of the patients who are having large defects are usually small babies, and mostly they require surgical intervention, that is VSD patch closure. Device closure is offered for grown-up children who are having moderate to small defects or residual defect after the surgery are amenable to intervention. This is the job of cardiologist to discriminate which patient is suitable for which type of intervention. Sometimes surgeon and cardiologist work together to close some type of complex problems, that is hybrid VSD closure. All these facilities are available. In fact, we have one of the largest number of hybrid VSD closure in India. ESD are relatively simple problems because the shunt is occurring at low pressure, so they are very well tolerated and the complication rate is high, even not in first, second decade. Usually the complication occurs in third or fourth decade of life. Still, the ideal age of closure is before the child goes to school. That is pre-school age. Most of the ESDs are corrected. PDA I'll skip. The interventional plan remains same as a VSD. What about obstructive lesion? Commonest obstructive lesion is valvular obstruction, that is pulmonary stenosis, aortic stenosis, and coarctation of aorta. Most of the patients who are having significant obstructive lesion will have ventricular dysfunction. So whenever there is a ventricular dysfunction associated with stenosis anywhere in the aorta, pulmonary valve, or aortic valve, requires early intervention. So most of the critical aortic stenosis or severe aortic stenosis, we decide on echocardiography what gradients we get, and we categorize them into mild, moderate, and severe. Severe or critical problems are intervened early. Mild to moderate stenosis can be waited and see the progress of the baby with the age. So most of the patients are amenable to catheter intervention. Surgery is reserved for neonates, young infants, and those who are not, we are not able to handle it with catheter intervention. So most of the patients who are in neonatal age group or arch interruption, complete interruption require surgical intervention. Most of these interventions are done early in the life, in first year of life. Then we'll move on to the second group, that is cyanotic congenital heart disease. And cyanotic congenital heart disease, as I said, is decreased pulmonary blood flow or increased pulmonary blood flow. Decreased pulmonary blood flow, we popularly known as TOF physiology. And there are a number of diseases which falls into TOF physiology. Basically, this patient is having a large ventricular septal defect, and pulmonary stenosis. The problem is cyanosis. They can present in a delivery room also, they can present in toddler age group, and can be grown up. Basic problem is right to left shunt because of pulmonary stenosis. The impure blood goes into aorta. So this patient is saying cyanosis. The presentation is variable depend upon the obstruction in the pulmonary blood flow. So if there is a lesser obstruction, less blood flow into systemic circulation. So they present late. If there is a significant obstruction, there is more right to left shunt, and this patient present early in the life. What are the problems with the tetralogy? Tetralogy patients have cyanosis. Earlier in the life, they have problems related to CVA. Because of severe cyanosis, many of these patients develops infarcts. As they grow up, they have cardiac dysfunction, more chances of cardiac arrhythmia, their brain abscess. These are all problems of right to left shunt and chronic cyanosis. Many of their mentation is not good. So how we manage? There are no age and weight criteria here. Most important is the saturation level. If the oxygen saturation level falls below 70-75 in any age group, whether it's newborn, infant, young age, 3-year, 4-year-old, cyanosis, degree of cyanosis or presence of cyanotic spell is the indication of intervention in any cough-like condition. Asymptomatic patient who are in good saturation, we recommend waiting period till 1 year of age. Beyond 1 year is certainly required to avoid the complication which happens after 2 years of age. Correction is always preferred, and all cyanotic, the message is cyanotic baby requires open heart surgery. That is the message. No catheter intervention or palliation. That means a temporary measure to prolong the life. Temporary measures are offered only when there are complicating factors. The patient is very sick, patient is having a very low weight, or there are some anatomical problems which will hamper the correction. That's on small number of, say, 10-20 patients, 90% patients require palliation. Most of the children are nowadays offered single stage corrective surgery, usually at around 5 kg or more weight. Then there are group of patients who present in neonatal age group, and these are drug dependent lesion. One physiology is TGA physiology. These are mostly newborns which are picked up in nursery nowadays, and because of onset of cyanosis. And certainly many of these babies are not repairable if we wait beyond 1 month of life. So most of the transposition intact septum are operated in first week of the life, first or second week of life. There are ways of stabilizing this patient, but the solution is arterial switch operation, which has been in practice since more than 4 decades, and so many things have been refined over a period of time, and the results are now standardized. We offer this surgery below 2 weeks of age. Then obstructive lesion, TAPVC, truncus. Most of these patients require surgery very early in the life, say first few months of life. TAPVC patient presenting at any age requires surgery. We offer surgery whenever they present. So this is our experience. Our unit has been doing since long, more than 1 decade here. And these are the critical problems we have solved over a period of time, and a very good follow-up results are available with us. So thank you, and questions are welcome.